You're watching HFO-TV.
Welcome back to HFO-TV. I'm Eric Kirk Douglas, Marketing Director. Here with me today is Kyanne Williams, the Multifamily Waste Reduction Specialist for the City of Portland. Welcome, Kyanne.
Thank you.
Today we're going to talk about composting at multifamily properties in the City of Portland. We know that some residents are asking for food composting. Is that available throughout the entire city?
It is. We discovered a couple of years ago when we went out and did some research that there are dozens and dozens of communities that were early adopters in food scrap collection.
Okay. How can I tell if my multifamily community is a good candidate?
Well, that's a really good question because there is definitely a mental checklist to go through before you actually call your garbage and recycling company. You want to think about whether or not you have good recyclers among your tenants. You ideally want to have at least 50% of those residents involved and willing to sit through an educational, half hour or so. You want low turnover, and you want to have a good site to set the container for the food scraps up.
Okay. How does the food composting program work?
Well, if your answer is in the affirmative for all of those questions, then you are ready to call your garbage and recycling company and ask them if there's going to be an additional cost. If they're willing to give you a trial period. Several of the companies in Portland know that this is a big behavior change for a lot of people, so they will offer 4 to 6 weeks, maybe a couple of months of not free service, but to help you get started. So once you've called them and established that you're going to do it and that you have a price that you can live with, you're going to want to convene some kind of resident education, like an evening, maybe a pizza party, because we'll come in with resources, some brochures, magnets, kind of walk through what goes in and what doesn't. We have kitchen pails, compost pails, and we can show people how to use them, how to line them, and get them ready to go, and then people are set up to succeed.
Okay. Does the city have educational resources? Well, it sounds like you do.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time when we were doing research talking to people about what they didn't know, what they kind of had to learn, what they wish they'd known, and so we put together a signage for over the containers, and we developed a really handy property manager guide for are you considering food scrap collection at your property, and it walks them through the decision-making process, and then it has a lot of the frequently asked questions so that they're prepared for the kind of things that their residents bring up.
Okay. What materials can the residents put in the compost pail?
Well, that's a question we get asked all the time. I can't go to a party without being asked why I can put. If it's food, it goes in. If you can eat it, it goes in.
What about corn on the cob?
Anything. It's funny. Everybody has 1 or 2 items which they really think that shouldn't somehow go in. You can put everything: meat, bones, dairy. I have talked to people who are really upset about putting spaghetti noodles in. I mean, it's a really interesting conundrum. But if it's food, it goes in.
Okay.
If it's food contaminated paper, like paper towels or napkins, those can go in. If it's a delivery pizza box, that can go in.
Oh.
If it's coffee filters or tea bags, those can go in. But that's it. I think the biggest problem we have is people wanting to put takeout containers or compostable serviceware in, and we don't allow those. There's no place for anything that isn't really food in the food scrap collection container.
Okay. What are the big challenges to keep in mind if I'm an apartment owner?
Well, there's the same one there is for, I think, residential homeowners in the city, which is what I call the ick factor, which is how do I stop it from getting icky? You can line or use compostable bags for your kitchen pail, and that's one really easy thing to keep in mind. Education. And making sure that people are motivated. A lot of times what we do is, I've been getting calls for 3 years now from people, when am I going to be able to do this? And I think the motivation is there. People want this to be a social norm. So I think the biggest challenge is making sure that you have educational materials and that you have adequate service.
Do you have any towers in Portland where people are doing this yet?
That is one of the biggest challenges, and I believe there are. They're mostly condominiums because they have a much higher success rate in regulating their residents' behavior.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you. That's all the time we have for now. Thanks for joining us on this edition of HFO-TV. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching HFO-TV. To learn more about HFO, call or visit our website. See new listings, apartment news, videos, and more when you download our apps at the Android and iPhone markets.